Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be diving into some basic filtering by the help of the where clause. As you can see, I have already set up my SQL workbench and I have loaded my database, and this is the basic table that I will be using in order to demonstrate the implementation of the where clause. We will be diving into some basic and intermediate queries, showcasing the different aspects and the ways that the where clause can be used. As you can see in this employees table, we have 6 columns. The first column is the employee ID, the second column is the employee name, department, salary, the date of joining, and e-active. This last column refers to binary values as true or false, boolean form of relationship, which basically represents whether the particular employee is active or inactive. So yeah, let's get to it. So as you can see, let's go with the first query. The where clause is one of those clauses which can be utilized in SQL in order to get hold of specific sets of rows which satisfy a specific condition that the user requires. As you can see in my previous command, which goes like select star from employees, will be returning all the results of this particular table, which is not always ideal and it does not satisfy any specific condition. So we would like perhaps to get hold of all the employees from the IT department. So let's say in this case we would like to get hold of department, which is equal to, I guess, IT. So for this we will go ahead and write select star from employees, right? Employees. So where department, right, something like equals to IT. As you can see, we basically returned 2 rows for the employee IDs 2 and 4. This is because we are basically employing the where clause with the condition department equals IT. So this will filter out and showcase only the rows where the department equals to the columns IT. So yeah, we can basically also go ahead with another conditional setting whereby which we can implement employees whose salary is greater than, let's say, I guess 70,000. So let's say salary greater than 70,000, something like this. So in this case we will go ahead and write select name comma salary. So let's say in this case we are only interested in getting hold of the names, like the e-name and the salary from the department, the employees table. And here we will set the clause where salary is greater than 70,000, and we will end this with the semicolon. And once we execute this, we can see that we have basically filtered the high income employees. This can be utilized in different scenarios whenever we would like to get hold of large data sets where the employees, or when a specific range is to be set as a threshold. So this can be used for generating reports and different base cases. Let's go ahead with the with the third implementation, whereby which we would like to get hold of the list of active employees. So we will go ahead and write select the name, here the e-name, comma e-active. E-active basically is a binary values consisting of zeros and ones. So it's a boolean column which basically refers to whether that employee is active or inactive. So we'll write from employees where e-active equals to true. Since this is a boolean case, we basically can write it as e-value, e-active as equals to true, and we basically hit enter. and you can see that we basically get a list of employees who are active. Here you do not need to specify this as true, because by default this would be assumed to be true since it's a boolean row consisting of ones. So once we can execute this again, and you can see that we basically return the same result. Similarly, we can also go ahead with use of multiple conditions using the AND and the OR operator. Let's say we want to implement two conditions which need to be satisfied in order for the results to be displayed. So here, if I go ahead and write select star from employees, we can see that we have different rows and different columns, and all of them have different kind of values. In this case, let's say I would like to implement the where clause using the AND operator. So for that, I can go ahead and write, like, let's say we would like to get hold of all the employees who belong to the department sales and have a salary greater than 60,000. So here we will basically get hold of in this scenario, let's say we only want 3 of the columns, like the name, the department, and the salary. So we can go ahead and write select ename. In this case, you can write ename and department and the salary from this the employees table, where the department is equals to sales and the condition is the salary, which has to be greater than 60,000. So you can go ahead and write like this, and with a semicolon, and hit execute. As you can see, we only have one particular employee who basically meets this kind of condition where both the conditions are satisfied. We can go ahead and try to again run the same kind of query. However, instead of the AND operator, we can go ahead and execute it with the OR operator. In this case, the use of the OR operator basically allows us to retrieve all the employees who either work let's say who either have satisfy either of these conditions. Let's say the department is sales, or their salary can be greater than 60,000. And if I execute this, you can see that we get a range of employees. Here we have 4 rows who basically satisfy either of these conditions. You can also change this let's say to a specific use case, such as department is equal to basically IT. So here, if I go ahead and do this and execute again, this will only retrieve the individuals who belong to either of these departments. However, this is a little bit clumsy way of writing, because we can basically go ahead and implement the use of another operator called the in operator. The in operator basically can be used in a way to conduct multiple matches. So we can go ahead and write select ename, let's write ename, department, and salary from employees, where let's say the department is in, we can write department in. Using the in operator, we can basically streamline the process, and we do not need to write multiple conditions. You can write sales and IT and hit it with a semicolon, and once we execute this, we basically get the same kind of result. So you can see that this is far more clean way of writing this. And here in the previous case, we are basically we are basically duplicate statement exists, which can be shortened by the use of the in clause. We can also group conditions or club conditions with the help of the parenthesis. So we can go ahead and write, let's say we would like to get hold of employees who have a salary less than 60,000, and they can belong to either sales or the HR department. This is one of the different ways of evaluating. You can be asked this in an interview. So you can go ahead and write, like, let's say we would like to get hold of the ename, department, and salary. So here we can write select ename, department, comma salary from employees, where, so we would like to again club these statements together. However, let's say since we want to get hold of the employees who belong to either departments, which is sales or HR, we can write it as department equals to sales, or department equals to HR. However, we also have a third condition here: the salary can be less than 60,000, and we basically go ahead and execute this with the semicolon, and you can see that this is another way of algebraic thinking, whereby which we can basically use a bracket to control the flow of logic. So here we basically get hold of the three columns with either of the conditions satisfied. So this can belong to salary or HR. So by the way, here since we are using the AND clause, the salary always has to be less than 60,000. So the columns, the rows which basically have a salary which is less than 60,000 will always be retrieved. The where clause can also be utilized in a way to filter by the date. Let's say we want to get hold of all the employees who joined the company before the year 2021. So we can go ahead and write select ename, comma let's say join date. I would like to just save our table once again. Yeah, so it's join date. So here we can go ahead and write ename, comma join date from employees, where join date is less than 20. We are basically filtering by the year. So here we would like to look at any of the dates before 1st January 2021. So we will write 2021 YYMMDD format. So you write something like this, and once you hit enter, you basically get two rows. Here you can see that both the employees Bob and Diana have joined before the year 2021. One is 2020 and 2019. We can also use the where clause in tandem with the between operator, which basically is used for ranges. Let's say we would like to get hold of all the employees between the endpoints where the salary is between the range of 60,000 and 80,000. So we can go ahead and write select ename salary from the table employees, where the salary is between the range between the range 60,000 and 80,000, and we hit enter. You can see that we basically get two rows, Bob and Charlie, who have the salary between the ranges 60,000 and 80,000. And we can go ahead with some other conditions as well with the where clause, such as if you would like to get hold of any employees who have some data which is missing from their from the table. Let's say you would like to look at some null values, so you can go ahead and write select ename, let's say from employees. Let's say we would like to check whether the join date might be empty for some let's say for some of the employees. So you can go ahead and write select ename from employees, where the join date is null. Once you execute, you can see that none of that is the case. So all the data is available and there are no null values. In this case, whenever we are going with null, you cannot just simply go ahead and write joint salary equals to null. That would not work, because with null these are special characters and they represents a special meaning. So you can only write it as is null or is not null. So like as a way to basically check if there is a condition which is not satisfied. So in this case all our employees have the condition satisfied. Yeah, and we can also use the where clause in tandem with other operators like. So the like operator is a way of basically performing character searches. It would basically return any number of rows which basically satisfy a particular regular expression. So in regular expression, at least in terms of SQL, you must know the use of regular expression signs such as the percent sign and the underscore. Here the underscore represents a single character, so this can be used to skip a specific character, while the person character basically can represent any number of characters. So let's go ahead and try to get hold of all the employees whose names begins with the letter A. So you can go ahead and write select ename where from employees, where ename, we can write it as ename like it begins with the letter A followed by the person sign. So the person sign basically is used for representing any number of characters, as we are not interested in any of the other letters which follow after the first letter, which is A. We are only interested in getting hold of all the names which begins with the character A. So once you hit execute, you can see that we basically get hold of only one employee whose name begins with the letter A, who's Alice. So you can basically go ahead and try it with different permutation combinations, like select ename from employees, where the ename, let's say in this case we would like to get hold of any of the employees whose names ends with the letter E. So we can go ahead and write %E. The %E means that we are gonna ignore all the previous characters and we are only interested in the very last character, which is E. And when we go ahead and hit enter, oh, I guess I made a mistake. Yeah, the like operator, so you have to write like %E and hit execute. As you can see, Alice, Charlie and Eve, these are the names which basically have the letter E at the end. You can also go ahead with checking the second particular character in a name. For that you basically need to use the underscore. The underscore basically is representing that specific character that we would like to ignore. So we can go ahead and write ename from employees, where ename like %. Okay, here we will write underscore L and %. So here we are saying we would like to ignore the first letter, but we are interested in getting hold of all the letters which have the L character at the second position, and we can ignore the rest. And once you go ahead and hit enter or execute, you see that we basically get hold of Alice. And yeah, as I had previously mentioned, like whenever we use negate conditions such as not null, we can go ahead and write like this kind of use cases for Boolean columns which have this kind of application possible. So like let's say in terms of eActive, which basically represents employees who are active or not, and get hold of all those employees who are not active. So it basically represents or retrieves all the rows where eActive is set to 0. So we can go ahead and write select ename from employees where not E active, so we can go ahead and write E active. This works for columns which have a boolean setup, so we can see that Charlie the employee is not active at the moment. So this is the way we can go ahead and write different kinds of queries with the help of the where clause. So you will be using different kinds of operators like the equal to operator, not equal to operator, greater than, less than. These kinds of operators would usually be utilized if you want to basically match a particular condition or set some range, especially with the use of the between operator. You can also not use multiple duplicate statements and basically go ahead with the use of the in operator whenever you want to match any values in a list, while like operator is used for pattern matching, for regular expressions, and yeah, so there are different forms of operators which can be used in different sets of condition, especially the use of parentheses to group specific conditions together. Yeah, and there are different other ways of doing things, like for example, if we are asked, let's say in a scenario where let's say we are given a task, so let's say we are asked, okay, I do not think if this is visible. Okay, yeah, we can just go ahead and write something like this. So if we have a specific use case like something like this, where the HR wants a list of active employees from the IT department who earn more than 70,000 and have joined before 2021, you can basically go and write something like this. You can basically use the AND operator to basically come up with this kind of an answer. I will give you a minute and you can basically come up with the answer. Alright, we can basically dive into this. Here we would like to get hold of the three columns: e-name, salary, and the join date from employees. Here is where we would usually end, but here we are also asked to check for other conditions, so we can use where department is equal to IT, and we can also set E active to true, something like this. And another operator we would like to use is the AND again for checking the conditions of the salary greater than 70,000, and the join date is before the year 2021, so you would write after January 1st 2021 and hit enter, and you can see that we basically get hold of two rows. Another kind of an interview question that can come is, at least in this case, like let's say we have another problem and we would like to find like the names of the employees. Let's go ahead and write this problem statement here. Just we are asked to basically find the names of the employees who are either from the sales department or have a salary less than 60,000. So here you can go ahead and try to attempt this. I'll give you a minute. Alright, you can pause the video and try this again. However, I will basically go ahead and do it. So you can write e-name from employees where e-active equals to true, and we would be using the parenthesis here, since we are using the OR operator, so we can write department is equal to sales or their salary equals to less than 60,000. So hit it with a semicolon and execute. We can see that we only get two results. So yeah, to wrap up, We have basically conducted a bunch of stuff with the where clause in SQL. We conducted basic filtering, some advanced logic, we have written some queries, and we have sorted a lot of data with the help of the where clause and basically filtered our dataset. So yeah, I hope you learned something today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.